Amen.
So this was like a cooler, older gentleman, an older Caucasian man. And, you know, we went to chit-chat and he was asking me what I do. You know, typical, just standard conversation. He's asking me what I do, this, that, and the third. So when I told him that I worked in granite and marble, he was like, man, that's hard work. You must be a hard-working man for your family. So I said, well, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't have kids or anything like that. So he asked me, he goes, oh, okay, so are you married? So I told him, y'all, I said, nah, man, I'm single right now. I just have some family that I live with, but in terms of relationships, I'm single. This motherfucker, y'all, he raised his fist and goes, that attaboy. So, so I'm looking at him, I'm like, yo, I'm like, what you mean attaboy? And he went on to tell me, y'all, that he was someone who was recently divorced. And he flat out told me, he said, man, if you could avoid it, don't get married. So, y'all, he went on to tell me his story, because obviously I'm going to ask, I'm going to be like, damn, you know, what happened? And this older gentleman went on to tell me how he was married for 22 years, but about 14, 15 years into his marriage, he discovered some foul play from his wife. And as it turned out, it wasn't just one affair. She had been kind of cheating on him for a while. However, you guys know how I feel about cheaters, right? I don't believe in reconciliation or none of that. I think that's just a waste of time. But this gentleman decided to stay with his wife because he had one daughter, and he waited until his daughter went to school, went away to college, and that's when he filed for divorce. But he went on to tell me, y'all, about how unhappy he was for so many years, even prior to finding out that his wife was cheating, right? And the story, and y'all, it's crazy how similar a lot of these people's stories are, right? Whether it's a man or a woman, it always starts off like the first few years were golden, everything was great, and then somewhere along the line, there's a shift. Men, right? The whole idea for a man when it comes to a woman, part of the deal for us is believing that the woman is exclusive to us sexually. This is why virgins have always been such a big deal for men, because at the end of the day, too, in the mind of a man, a woman who hasn't been touched by other men is the most glorious of women, right? That's just the way nature has unfolded for us. That is in our programming. Men want a woman that has been with the least amount of men as possible. That's just the way it is. Just like how women are naturally hypergamous. It's just the way it is.
Here are some things I expect men to do in marriage. Number one, pay the rent, mortgage, and utilities. So that's like the rent, the water, and like the electric. You know what I'm saying? And then if you have a home, like the property tax and the mortgage insurance, all that good stuff. Number two, to do most of the cooking. I cook, but I don't really like to cook. So it's really a plus when I meet a guy who is really good at cooking. And there are actually a lot of men that are great cooks. Number three, the dishes. It would be great to have a man that just took that chore off of my hands, because I don't like to do the dishes. Number four, do the laundry. And when I say do the laundry, I don't just mean like put the clothes in the wash. I mean like the whole process. Simply because you don't like the things that I ask for from a man? The crazy part is I have never tried to date any of y'all. I'm not trying to get with y'all. I'm not expressing my interest in y'all. So why do y'all
I want to give all the praises and the honor to YAHAWAH.
Shalom, shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Kwakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone. Shalom to my Akim Wakwafim who are diligently waiting to be delivered from this foul captivity, as well as the speckled bird that may look like the nation, but actually Yasharala, his brother Kawako community no lesson. Slakia, I did not see that. Like, this is the thing that I be saying, where I'm over here focused on, okay, let me get the precepts out, let me get this video ready, let me do this X, Y, and Z. And then number one, two things I just have to say. First things first, I don't know if you've seen this video, if you've seen multiple of my videos, but YouTube has been having this girl's video on my thing for multiple days in a row, and I just never clicked it. But yet, why is this still here? Number 2, vocab wishes he was black. That looks funny as fuck. I have to watch this afterwards. I'm not lying. That is, I would love to see what happened. Anyway, getting back on topic. So the thing here, or the topic of this day, is about marriage. And very clearly, there was this one Jake that had spoken to this Edomite guy that was basically saying how he was married to this woman, married to this woman, and apparently she was sleeping with another man for a while, and he was basically miserable even before he found out and all this stuff. Like, there was just a whole bunch of stuff, and this makes me acknowledge, it makes me think that, what, as someone who's wanted to get married, wanted to have that, and just okay, let me calm the fuck down and not reveal too much shit. But as someone who's wanted that companionship and all that stuff, especially given that YAHAWAH, the scriptures literally say that marriage is holy, marriage is such a good thing, that's a blessing, sex and all that stuff, all those things, the partnership, all that. All right, as someone who's wanted that, not just for the the physical aspect, but for the spiritual aspect of it as well, I'm starting to feel like, I'm starting to more recently, YAHAWASHI has been really opening my eyes to seeing that, I was basically blessed to not have that, or not be in that position, simply because when it comes to the women of today, like, they're not trustworthy, and it's just like you will never be able to find someone. Well, number one, a lot of the problems and stuff like that, like, it's too easy for a woman to get negatively influenced, even when it comes to, sadly enough, your daughters and stuff like that. Like, you might be trying to teach her to the best of your ability, but then she goes talking to her friends, to her friends that are girls, or to some guy, and then some guy manipulates her and basically makes her sleep with him, and then that's already ruining that. And then there's also and then he leaves her and all that shit. And then there's also the matter of the, what's it called, the girls, her single friends influence her negatively. And again, like, that's all this, like, wicked ass demonic devil shit that is in this thing, where it's just so, like, and again, this is just from the man's perspective. Obviously there are bad men there as well, but just from what I know, what I've seen, that's just how evil this kingdom is. It's just like, how can you expect or want things to be good when things are just set up to fail, set up to be negative, set up to be bad? All right, like, it's genuinely that scary. All right, and with all the different ways that something bad could happen, it's just like, it's just not worth it. And let's go further into that over here. 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 6, but I speak this by permission and not of commandment. So this is not a commandment. All right, I'm telling you that what's going on here, this is not my commandment either. This is just my advice, as I definitely agree with this. All right, and I used to think that, no, well, man, for me, it's gonna be different. For me, this doesn't apply to me or any of that stuff. Sometimes it does apply to you. All right, it's just sometimes. I'm not gonna say all the time, but sometimes. All right. Anyway, continuing on, verse 7. For I would that all men were even as I myself, but every man hath his proper gift of Yahawah, one after this manner, and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. Basically, the thing here is that I believe it's Paul that is advising that if you are not married, just don't seek to get married. Don't seek to get married. Basically, it's better that you stay single. It's better that you stay, alone, rather than be in the company to, be corrupted. Because even think about it like this, King Solomon, he had wives and they turned his heart from YAHAWASHI. There's also the matter of, okay, well, you have all these different responsibilities, this accumulation of responsibilities, which ends up being a problem for you where, oh, well, now you have to deal with all this. Well, now you have to worry about this, then, third, X, Y, and Z, and a plethora of different stuff that impedes your progress in terms of serving YAHAWASHI. And this is what you want to avoid. You want to avoid the things that would get in the way of you serving YAHAWASHI, which again, that might sound, kind of mean, but that's just the reality of it. Where sometimes, a woman might be so needy where she might say, oh, you never take me out, you keep on going over there to the brothers and this stuff, that you go out instead of spending time with me. And it's just like, okay, well, in order to kind of like appease that relationship, okay, well, maybe sometimes you might say, okay, well, I guess this one time, which then this one time turns to 2 times, then 3 times, and then more and more, where again, like, sometimes, again, it's not, and this is not even to say that, women can't be righteous, because I'm sure I've heard, not heard, but there are some sisters out there that are doing a good job at that, but still, it's just a matter of it's best, it's not always best to be married and whatnot. That's basically the main thing. For whatever reason, there's different. The reasons differ from person to person. Continuing on, Isaiah 3 verse 12. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths. And that's the thing where here, sometimes it's not always best to be married, as I said before, and I even gave the examples where women rule over them, and it's just like, okay, well, if you don't come spend time with me, or well, I'm gonna go somewhere else to get it and stuff like that. Where even then we're not even we are commanded that we're supposed to fulfill our duties of marriage to our spouses and stuff like that, both the men and the women. So as a result of that, like through that, especially with how this society is set up, sometimes things might conflict, and sometimes you just don't have time with all the things that we are obligated to do. All right. Romans chapter 1 verse 25, who changed the truth of Yahawah into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is best forever. Amen. And that's the thing. And this is the sad reality where there will come times, and there can come times where it gets to a point of woman worship. All right, where rather than worshiping YAHAWASHI, you have people that are worshiping the woman. There are people that are worshiping their women, and there are even Israelites that change their whole doctrine, saying, "Oh no, you can't. A man can't have multiple wives and stuff like that." And like they give their platforms. They make a platform specifically to let their wives speak on their behalf and do all this stuff. I even saw that one time where there was this one Jake who changed his whole doctrine and stuff like that. He was doing the YouTube stuff, and he changed his doctrine to be, the woman is equal to the man and all that stuff. But that's not what the scriptures say. Okay, he's doing all this to appease his girl that's that's doing most of the talking and whatnot. All right. So, and again, that hierarchy is being flip flopped, where rather than serving Yahawadah, rather than making Yahawadah the priority, you're making the woman when the hierarchy is Yahawah, then Yahawashi, then the man, then the woman. But instead, it's the woman first, and the woman's comfort, the woman's thing, and then everything else next. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16, for which cause we faint. No, hold on, let me just get this. Verse 17, for our light affliction, for 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding eternal weight of glory, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. All right, where that's another aspect of it, where we are working for the things that are eternal, the things that are permanent, the things that with YAHAWASHI, because YAHAWASHI would never take. Well, yeah, in terms of like when the Lord blesses us with something, He's not gonna let us lose it. He's gonna let us keep it. All right, but for the other side, all right. When it comes to Esau, you could lose the things that you get. All right, hence why we have to be like, okay, well, let me. And even then, even when it comes to that proper marriage, okay, for men and women, you might get a good man, you might get a good woman or whatever, seemingly at first, but because we're in the flesh, because we're in this world, then they're going to fuck up. They're going to do something that is evil. But let me also get this. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 10, for this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws in their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a power, and they shall be to me a people, and they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. So we're going to be perfect. We're not going to be making all those terrible ass mistakes, those evil, malicious actions to one another. We're just going to be perfect. And when we're perfect, okay, well then you're gonna have a perfect husband that loves you properly and treats you right, and a perfect wife that will be incapable of betraying you. That's basically what we're waiting for. That's what we're striving for when we're working towards the kingdom. All right, we all want the perfect partner or whatever and stuff like that. And then as we wait for the kingdom, that's when the Lord's gonna finally give you that perfect partner and all that stuff. All right, so yeah, just be patient. So with that, I pray this lesson was edifying. I'm gonna give and exactly why it says don't be married in this kingdom, because that's basically the thing. In the kingdom, yeah, you're gonna be married, but in terms of getting married now, not wise. So with that, I pray this lesson was edifying. I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahawadah, Shem, Yahawashi, Hashem, Wakwakwadah, Double honor to the elders and apostles, great most son of God, Shalom.